The year I turned 17 was the year that Pretty Woman was released. I read Pygmalion and saw My Fair Lady for the first time. And I think my brain at that point was already primed for this idea of a miraculous transformation. When I received in the mail some information about from the local chapter of the Miss Teen pageant. Now, I have to admit that I scoffed at this at first because I was an emo punkish teen, and nothing seemed farther from from who I was than to be the spirited, teen pageant contestant. But I was worried about having money for college, and I noticed that there was a scholarship attached to this. So I thought about it, and I'm like, I might be able to Eliza Doolittle this thing. And I went for it. I went and found a sponsorship. I wrote my speech. Now, nowhere in there did it say the rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain, but I do promise I practiced that to exhaustion like Eliza Doolittle. And of course, every great transformation needs the outfit. And believe it or not, I found the outfit at the Salvation Army. And no joke, this would have fit in any shishi late 80s, early 90s garden party. It was a navy blue sheath dress, big white polka dots, and a big white bow, and it had white piping around the edges. And when I tried that thing on, I have to admit, it felt a little weird and awkward around here, but when I looked at myself in that mirror, I'm like, I feel classy suddenly. And I felt confident, and I'm like, this dress makes me a pageant contestant for real. So transformation complete. I go to the rehearsal. I'm feeling a little nervous, of course. And the first order of business is to learn the group dance routine. Well, I have no problem with that. And I knocked that out of the park. And I'm looking around, feeling kind of good about things. I'm like, you know what? I have as good of a chance as anybody else of winning this thing. And we break for lunch. I'm sitting around this table with all these other young women, and they're trading their trade secrets. Uh, Things like that I had never thought of, like how do you hold your fingers when you wave? Never thought about that before. And it dawns on me now suddenly that this is their craft. They literally, some of them had spent years and years perfecting the skills for this, and I certainly had it. So at that point, my confidence level sort of nosedives, and I just think to myself, just listen to what they're saying, watch what they do, incorporate it into what you're doing, and who knows, you might still have a little bit of a chance of winning this thing. That slight bit of hope just dies on me at the very beginning of the next day because I see all of these women coming in and they've got train cases for their curling iron and their makeup, and they have garment bags. And I swear to you, I had no clue what a garment bag was before that day. And it's not like they had things that I didn't have. It's the fact that they had invested in the proper equipment, just like they had invested their time and their energy into developing these skills and honing their skills over time. It was almost like I had learned to just play Mary Had a Little Lamb, and now I've arrived to perform with the symphony orchestra. They're well practiced. I obviously ain't ready for this. So my goal when I step in is just don't make a fool of yourself. So I go in and I give the most spirited, bubbly introduction of myself. And I smile the whole way through that dance number. And I enthusiastically deliver my speech. And then, of course, you get to that moment where all of the contestants line up and they smile and they wave and they parade around the stage. And I'm in that dress and I throw my shoulders back and lift my head high and think about how my fingers are supposed to be when I wave. And I feel so classy and so confident and like I'm really a pageant contestant at that moment. And at the end of the day, I think, I don't think I've made a fool of myself. And none of my punk rock friends found out I was doing this. So I'm going to consider this a win and move on with my life. Fast forward 3 months. I'm at a wedding and there is someone there wearing that sheath dress. And I look at her, and if you think about that late 80s, early 90s style where it's like a high neckline, it's kind of rounded, and then it V's in the back. I look at her, and I suddenly realized why that dress was a little uncomfortable when I tried it on. And my face gets red when I'm looking at her. I was wearing that freaking dress backwards. And I was up there feeling like the classiest babe ever. And that dress was backwards. And I look at pictures now, and it is obvious to me that that dress was on backwards. And I'm sure there were people out there in the crowd who were like, I think that girl's got her dress on backwards. So it is obvious that I had no Eliza Doolittle miraculous transformation. I did not pull off having teen spirit for that pageant. And now all my punk rock friends probably know that I have participated in this. So I'm going to consider this a lose and continue with my life. Thanks.